So I recently broke a string on my 59 reissue, which means it's time to do a whole restringing. These strings are quite old anyways, but I also thought it'd be a great time to walk you through how I set up my guitars every time I restring them to make them play as good as possible. But I am going to try something new out today. It shouldn't change that much. Hopefully I'll figure it out. But let's just go ahead and get into it, and then we'll hear how it sounds and talk about how it plays after. All right, let me quickly run you through kind of my process. So first off, I actually do a little of a polishing while the strings are still on the guitar, usually because I don't want to mess up the tune-o-matic bridge and where it's located. And these ABR ones are super easy to move and throw the action off. Also, I don't clean my guitars very much. I kind of like them to be dirty and beat up a little bit. So anyways, I clean it a little bit. Then I take the strings off. How I do it, obviously I don't cut my strings, makes it a little difficult. And also I top wrap the bridge, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get the strings off. But I take the strings off, then I clean the fretboard, all right? I try to get that as clean as I can before doing anything, because to me the most important step is polishing and cleaning the frets. I don't like doing it, but it's to me the most rewarding thing, because I actually, when I set the guitar up the next time, it actually plays significantly better because of that. Just keeping those frets clean and smooth and polished. Now this time I tried some fret erasers for the first time, so I'm excited to see how those go. I feel like I need to buy some finer grit ones for future string changes, but I had some extra more fine polishing stuff that I used with it, but I think it went well. The frets are looking nice, they feel smooth, so that should, you know, for like bends and vibrato, it makes it a lot nicer. Now I do have a lot of, because I played this guitar so much, a lot of divots in the frets, which is just, it's unfortunate of what happens when you play guitar a lot. The frets get a little clunky right there. I get it cleaned up, then I oil the board, and then what I do, because I top wrap, so here's the tailpiece. Here's a lightweight aluminum tailpiece on this guitar. It's very nice. And then I use 9 to 42 elixirs. They actually just changed their packaging to this. I got an old pack though. I feel like this looks nicer. So we're gonna put the old pack of elixirs on. But yeah, 9 to 42, I'm gonna tune a half step down as well. That's what I tend to, for a lot of lessons, I tune up the standard just for convenience for you guys, but I like half step down. I like the tension. I like the sound. So what I do, because I top wrap, I go ahead and put all 6 strings in the tailpiece before I do anything else. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. Some guys don't like elixirs, which I totally get. I like them because they last long, but they're also very slippery, which I prefer. I don't like the kind of getting stuck on the strings, because when I play regular strings now, I've been using elixirs pretty much my whole entire playing career. Yeah, when I play regular strings like Ernie Ball, I just, like, within 5 minutes they feel kind of sticky, and you gotta like super clean them, and they never feel slippery like elixirs do. And I really like that kind of effortless sliding around the fretboard that elixirs offer because of the coating that they have. Also, you know, I'm lazy, and as long as you don't break strings, elixirs last a while. Now, top wrapping, a lot of guys ask questions about top wrapping. I'm not like very, I don't know, I've done it and it works, so I keep doing it. My main thought is that I used to break a lot of strings. I think the logic around less tension on the tune-o-matic bridge, which is usually where I break strings, because of the top wrap, it makes string breaks a lot less frequent, which is a good thing. So I don't know if that's fact. That's the reason I do it, and I just kind of did it, and it worked, and I don't want to change it just in case it doesn't work as well, going back to the traditional way. Also, I like the simplicity of just taking these screw pieces right here and tighten them all the way to the body, and then just wrapping it. It's just super easy, super convenient. Now, one thing about Les Pauls like this that's unfortunate with these tailpieces, a lot of the new ones have locked, like different locked tailpieces. That makes this super easy, but you got to put your E strings on first, or it's just gonna fall off. It's kind of annoying, because if you put an E, I guess you could go, actually let's try that today. We'll try a D string first and see how that goes. Usually I do my 2 E strings, but maybe the D string will hold it. We'll try that. The most important thing though with a Les Paul or any guitar is you got to get some kind of nut sauce or something like that. So look, got my tailpiece all strung up. Everything's good to go. Super quick, super easy. Really the only time consuming part of this at the moment is the frets. Like I could change strings on a Les Paul in 10 minutes. But the frets and, you know, oiling the board and all that extra stuff takes a bit of time. So this super important Les Pauls, tuning issues, you know, they're not in line or whatever. Very common they don't stay in tune, but it's most likely always the tuners. And so obviously assuming you don't need like someone to kind of cut your nut there, you just kind of put something, they make different types of this stuff, and you just literally inject it into, let me put this cap down, inject it into the nut, and it keeps it super smooth, keeps it all going nice. And there goes my tailpiece. I believe I might be mistaken. This is a 59 reissue, so this has a nylon nut or something, which, I don't know, it seems like a good nut material to not have problems with tuning. All right, let's try the D string, see if it helps the tailpiece. Maybe I should do that more often. It seems the D string helps out keep the bridge on. All right, so I got one string on. I'm gonna go to a high E next. Everybody seems to put their strings on a little bit different and how they wind them and all that. I was taught by a tech many years ago this particular way, and I've never had a problem since. I don't really know how to describe it. Been using it for at least a decade now with no problem. So that could be a tuning thing too, is, you know, finding the right way to put your strings on with a Les Paul. Make sure you get tight winds that don't slip, stuff like that. Now, I get asked a lot why I don't cut my strings, and there's quite a few reasons actually. The truth why I started not doing is I lost my pliers or cutters a long time ago. See, I just wound this low E way too many times. Hopefully it doesn't cause a problem. I'll have to watch that. Hopefully it will slip into place. I didn't do a very good job on that string. Yeah, I lost my pliers and I didn't have anything to cut them with, so I had to come up with a solution, and just tying them into little circles basically has worked. Also, I'm convinced that it helps tuning stability on a Les Paul, so that's one reason too. It sounds kind of weird, but I'm convinced not cutting it helps it lock in better and never slip. Yeah, let me know down in the comments. I'm curious if you guys like the top wrap, your Les Pauls, or Tune-O-Matic bridge style guitars. What do you use to polish frets? I'm trying to always find the best way. I'm excited to continue trying these fret erasers and see how good they are. All right, one more string, we're almost done. Once I get this last one on, I'll show you how I tune it up. You know, really stretch the strings. It probably takes a good 10 minutes. All right, we're good. We're strung up. Didn't take too long, and I was shooting a video while doing that, so it was quite short. Let me plug in. I haven't actually played this guitar in quite a few weeks. I use a Strobe, what is this? The Peterson Strobe clip-on. Best tuner I've ever used. It's incredible. My first tune-up, I don't get like exact. I'm just trying to get pretty close. Does everybody get a little anxious the first time tuning up? I'm always scared I'm gonna break a string. And then once they kind of hold, then I'll start stretching them. All right, so about now, I will stretch them. I really just think this is very, very important. It's like, I just stretch the mess. And I stretch them like this until they hold tune perfectly. And you can almost feel the string get looser too as you're stretching them. It's kind of wild. Usually with this, you know, some strings go out more than others. Some will go at least out a whole step or half step. Let's see what happened. Oh yeah, this one. I think it's because I didn't wind this string very well. That one went out a lot. That was 2 whole steps right there. But you'll see each time we stretch them, they'll get better and better. Yeah, they all went about 2 whole steps out. Oh, that one, the B string's good actually. Half step. Same thing with the high E. The high E is good. Wow. Also, I like making sure that I'm in tune really well before I stretch them again, because I want to train the strings to always go back to this tuning. Good enough. Same thing. Stretch the mess out of them. Once they, you know, stay in tune after doing this, like, you're not going to bend the strings this much ever. But if it holds tune with like this, then it's, you know, it's going to hold tune pretty much perfectly. But it takes quite a few rounds, so better as a step in the right direction. It still was way out. The main problem was this E, and I think it was my fault, not really the guitar's fault. I just didn't wind it very well. You know, nut sauce, wrapping the strings hopefully properly around the peg, getting them nice stretched out. I mean, within 10 minutes, your guitar will be locked in tune. So I was down to a half step. This was less than a half step, less than a half step. All right, let's do it one more time and see how that goes. You could probably stretch them a few more rounds. I'm going to stop. This is my last time stretching them. Because, you know, if I was like playing a show tonight, I'd probably pre-stretch them a bit more just to make sure the guitar's ready to rock and roll. Because the next thing we're talking about is how I set up the action, which it's personal preference. I've played Les Pauls pretty much all the time for 5 years now, almost 5 years now. And, you know, it's changed a lot over the last 5 years. I used to use high action with 11s and standard tuning. Now I'm down to pretty low action. with 9 to 42s at a half step. Like, that's two different guitars, really. All right, let's try to tune up, see how good we are. I do recommend getting a good tuner. Like, this tuner, it's the best tuner I've ever used. Some people don't like the Strobe, but this one feels nice. It's not too complicated to look at. I prefer the Strobe personally. I'm not a fan of the, what are the other ones called? I just feel like I get, you know, much more accurate with this. And you can really see the tell-off of the pitch too with the Strobe. You can see that when you hit it hard, it's right on pitch, but you know, a guitar, because of the strings, it might flatten as it rings out. And you can really set it to where you want it. That's something to keep in mind, you know, when tuning up, is how dynamic you're going to play. Because if you tune up hitting really hard, and then you play very quiet, very soft, you're going to be flat. All right, let's get this thing turned on. Oh, I missed that. It's been a while. It's gonna take me a little while to get used to this guitar because it feels honestly so much different than my other Les Paul, which it's off camera, unfortunately. This thing is awesome. Now, action. How do I sub the action? I'm gonna show you this. I like it to buzz a little bit. Back in the day, like when I was using 11s with high action, the biggest thing I didn't like the tone. I like the extra sparkle the note gets whenever you have it super low. Now, there's obviously a fine line, and the health of your fret matters, and also the string affects this. And obviously, these are new strings, so new strings pop a little bit more naturally. But I set my strings up to. You can hear a little buzz. It's a little more than I want. I could probably actually raise the action on the low end here. That's what I like about ABRI1s and dislike simultaneously, is they're super easy to adjust. You probably shouldn't adjust it this way, but it works, so. Yeah, we'll try that. Let's tune up to that. Now, I don't have measurements. I don't do measurements. I just feel it out. Low as possible. You know, obviously the neck is a factor, the frets are a factor, the strings are a factor. I just really like that extra snap that it gives. So like, you know, not through the amp, you hear. It's a little more than I would prefer at the moment. But, you know, through an amp. Well, there you go. That's my process. Honestly, with the action, as long as you kind of fill it out, go for the sound that you want to go for. You know, I don't, maybe I should do like the super measured focus thing and, oh, I like this exact thing. But the honest truth is, like, my Les Paul over there, the standard 2007 standard that I have, it has different frets, the neck shape's different, and that guitar plays better than this guitar. I can get the action lower without any problems. I have probably now put more hours on this guitar, which is crazy. I've had this guitar less time than the other one, but I'm already worried about the frets. The frets are they're causing problems. This guitar used to play a little bit better, more consistent. It's just those divots in the frets that I'll either have to have someone level and recrown or refret this guitar in the coming future. Like, definitely, it's unfortunate. So I have to raise the action like that. This is the highest the action's been on this guitar, maybe ever. Honestly, I don't like it. I might lower it a little bit. I'll kind of fill it out. That's what happens, you know. You play guitar a lot and you beat the guitar up. The guitar doesn't stay the same, you know, unless you have stainless steel frets or something like that. Every time you pick it up throughout the years, it's slowly wearing those frets and your kind of go-to spots. You know, that's the one unfortunate thing about always playing in the same key is those frets wear down and then it messes up playing down there. But yeah, for, you know, Les Pauls, I like the wrap. You know, it keeps the tension on the Tune-O-Matic bridge less. Maybe it affects the string tension, I don't know, but I find I don't break any strings like that. As long as you got a, you know, some nut sauce or in a well cut nut, wind the strings well, stretch them out very, very well, and I think you're good to go. I would recommend not cutting your strings on a Les Paul until your strings are really, really warmed up and stretched out in the first place. That's my process. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time very, very soon.